Hello everyone, my name is Ramsey Sufian. I'm the Senior Applications Expert here with IMAGINiT. Here today to do the Twinmotion webinar for you guys today. Today we will be discussing how the pre-planning, the planning phase and the pre-construction phase happens in terms of workflow within Twinmotion and all the visual things you can do once you have your model in. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. As you guys can see here, I imported my Revit model here from Revit. All I did was imported it as a geometry. I opened up a file and I found my file and did it that way. There is a second method that you can utilize, which is a direct link, which I personally like as well. You can do the direct link in one of two ways. You can do it directly from Revit and just open in Twinmotion. If you have the latest Revit, I believe 2024 and above, you can do that. Or you can just set up the direct link while having Revit open. So this should populate, if you have Revit open, it should sense it, and then it should say, okay, you have this model open. Do you want to open it up on your second screen in Twinmotion? That way you will be able to make live updates in Revit as you have it open in Twinmotion. But yeah, today we have a standalone geometric file here from Revit. As you can see, my model is floating in space. I do have the navigation bar here at the top, but since I already know how to move around, I'm probably just going to get rid of that. So to have more screen real estate, I always like to come here to the right side of the panel, come down here to hide navigation, just get rid of that. It helps my screen as well. Yeah, this import tab is helpful for me to import and do some other things. Since I already have my model in, I want some more real estate. I'll just click import. There we have it. I can also make this bigger if need be. I can start to, minimize or open up the screen a little bit more here on the sides as well. And then, yeah, so I think this is a good working plane for me to get started. From there, I will go ahead just to mask that this is floating in the air, and to give it more context, I want to go ahead and add a landscape. So within Twinmotion, you have two landscapes you can add to your model here. One is a flat and one is a rocky grass landscape. So here's what they look like. So I'll drag and drop the flat. Yep, so you can see the flat one just comes in like a regular landscape plane. If I want to do rocky grasslands, this is how it comes in. So I'll have that nice rocky grassland in the behind there. So it's really up to you what you're trying to work with and the area you're trying to work in. I personally want to start off with flats and configure my landscape from there. All right. So I am not done yet. I still have a blue sky, which is fine. But if I want to like enhance it and have some clouds up there, or maybe just have an overall background, I can also do that as well. So I have the ability to go into my HDRI environments, and I can either select sky or outdoor. Don't worry about indoor and studio. This is more for movie production. Essentially, as architects, designers, and construction personnel, you will essentially just be using skies and outdoor. If I go to outdoor here, one of the things I like about outdoor is that it combines the background with the sky. If I just did sky only, I would be changing my sky. We're just going to go with this park landscape here, and I'm just going to drag and drop that, and look at that. Now my sky has been updated. I have a nice horizon, very, very realistic looking. And yep, but I still have that little line, and I'm a perfectionist. I don't want my horizon to be open like that. So I will go back into here and I will fix that. So there's a couple of ways that you can fix that. One of the ways that I personally like to do is go into your ambiance here and go into your ambiance settings here and scroll down all the way to horizon. So yep, you do have the ability to enable a horizon here. just like that. And then you can change what your horizon is going to entail. Right now, I just have some city buildings, right? If I want a more European town looking environment, I can do that. I can also do the countryside, but I can still see the horizon. So some of these might not work for what I'm trying to accomplish, but yeah, you'll just play around here and go from there. I like the city. Yeah, the horizon's still there, but I got rid of most of it, and I can show you guys what you can do to enhance it even further. But this is my starting point. This is where I like to start. I like to get my horizon, my environment set up, as well as my landscape. That way, I'm no longer in just a floating in the air. Once I have that, you can still see this is a little bit floating off the ground. So I can fix this one of two ways. You can see it's kind of slanted. Yeah, it's kind of sloping into the ground a little bit, so it's at an angle, right? In these cases, yeah, you can come over here to your scene graph. This is where all of your elements will be housed. So they are housed in folders. So if I selected any of these elements here, it will select it in real time in my model. But what I want to do is I want to select the warehouse itself. Then I have this gizmo gear here. Check this out. If I open up XYZ, I can manually enter numbers here to manipulate this positioning of this. So if I wanted to, right now I'm in meters, but if I wanted to go -10, for example, in the X direction, it'll do that. If I want to go -10 in the Y direction, it'll do that. And if I want to go -10 in the Z direction, it'll do that. So yeah, I'm just going to convert these back to 0. There's no need for me to utilize this. Since it is on an angle, me bringing it down will bring the whole thing down for the most part, but I'll still have some edges like slanted up here. So this is what I want to fix here, right? So in order to fix that, you do have sculpting tools that you can utilize. So let me get rid of the XYZ plane here to give me more real estate here on the right. Sorry, let me just maximize that. All right, so I'm going to select the land. Now, as soon as I select the land, I have the ability to sculpt, or I can paint the terrain. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just go ahead and sculpt this terrain a little bit here at the ends. So my diameter, my paintbrush diameter is really big. All I have to do is reduce it to some size like that. There we go. Now it's a little bit more workable, right? This intensity will basically enhance my intensity as I'm painting. So let me show you what happens with the sculpting. So as I'm trying to sculpt, you can see the hills start to come up. I like this intensity. This is perfectly fine for what I'm trying to accomplish. But if I increase the intensity even more, and I just click one time, it's more, yeah. So it's starting to build up those hills a lot faster, and it's depending on what you're trying to do, it might be a little bit overkill. So I'm going to go back to 15% here, just like that. And now, if I ever want to dig a plane that I just sculpted, I can always select the dig tool, dig back down just like that, make it a little more even. Then I can go back to the sculpting tool and essentially bring up my playing field just like that. All right, so you might be wondering that still doesn't look perfect. You do have additional tools here, like the smoothing tool, which I like, which will create a smooth surface on your sculpted terrain, just like that. So it smooths it out a little bit. And then from there, I can do noise reduction as well, just like that. So it'll get rid of that noisy imaging. And then from there, I can also do erosion, which will just kind of erode my surface a little bit, just like that. Just kind of make it blend in a little bit more. And then I have the flatten tool, which will just completely flatten this elevated plane. So you shouldn't hold on to the elevated plane for too long, because it'll flatten it too much and you'll have to start over again. But these are some of the mechanisms that you can utilize to blend in your playing field. Cool. All right. So yeah, it's not perfect, but we can work with it, right? From there, I still see this cartoony Revit grassy plane, and I need to enhance that further to blend in with my landscape. Same thing with the trees, it's still a bit cartoony. So what I like to do is, again, referring back to my scene graph here, let's start with the trees. Yeah. So here I have a drop down of what I can filter by in terms of my containers. If I don't see the container I'm trying to filter by, I will just go ahead and type in what I'm trying to look for. So I'll look for trees, maybe without the S. All right, so all my trees are here, and I'm just going to select all of them. All right, from there, you might be wondering what I'm going to do next. I'm going to right click or hit the three dots here and select replace object. This will allow me to replace these trees with a different tree that's a little bit more better looking. So maybe something like this. We'll drag and drop and start a replacement. Look at that, in real time, it just replaced all of our trees. But wait a minute, our trees were not that size. So here we can either age it up or age it down. So at any given moment, this is more of what we had before. So yep, around 10% aging. Yeah, and aside, there you go. This is all done by the Twinmotion development team. They use landscape architects prehistoric data for the trees biology, and they make the determination of what the percentage is as you start aging the trees. But yeah, aside from that, I just have my my grass plane that I need to replace, and that's a little bit easier. All I have to do is go into my ground texture here and go into nature and replace the grass. All right, so yeah, I like the way that looks. Finally, I'm just going to come to the building and I'm going to go ahead and replace the glass and the roof. So that's my glass material. Then I also have roofing material I can apply as well. Yeah, asphalt roof. There we go. Perfect. So yeah, I still have my box vehicles. If you want to also replace them, you would just utilize the same mechanism I just did. Let's select one to see what it's called. It's a truck and it's listed right here. So we'll select all the trucks and replace object here. Yeah, so I have some trucks right there. Yeah, why not? Let's replace them, start replacement. There we go. So yeah, now I'm starting to bring this to life even more. Now, when it comes to rendering purposes, and if you want to start to utilize things like construction phasing, you can start to hide elements and start rendering out your elements accordingly. So now that all my elements are deselected here, I do have my warehouse, I do have the things inside of it, yep, my wall curtain, stuff like that. If I selected hide, it'll hide that for me. If I wanted to hide the level, it'll hide that whole level, etc. But in terms of media, we would just come into our phasing group here, and we'll start to create our different phasing groups based off of what we're trying to accomplish here. So, for example, if I, in this timeliner, wanted this to be phase one, I might want to go ahead and turn off all of my elements here. Oops, not the starting base, but the model. Yeah, so phase one from November to about January-ish will pretty much encapsulate nothing, but then I can go ahead and add another phase, and then I can start to turn on my elements from there. Maybe not the whole thing, but maybe parts of my elements here. Maybe I have the glasses erected my wall curtains, stuff like that, all the way through. So yeah, I will just keep creating new phases as the construction progresses. So as February ends, then I can add a new phase for March. Now the rest of the building is going to pretty much come up. So I'll just pretty much turn on all these layers there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then once I'm done, all I have to do is export it as a rendered file. Where is it? As a presentation, I would go ahead and export it. And then it's very good if you're at that pre-con phase of trying to sell your company on why you should be the one building this project. You can create your phasing accordingly to show the owner and give them the confidence that you know what you're doing, and you have a full-on phasing plan for the construction based off of your Twinmotion file here. But yeah, aside from that, that's all I wanted to show you guys in this phasing model. That's pretty much what you are going to be doing from a pre-con planning and design phase, essentially. But I'll go ahead and turn it over back to Lori to go ahead and take any questions.
Great, thanks, Ramsey. Okay, let's go over here. So feel free to type questions into the chat and I will read them over to Ramsey. So Neil is asking, he says, sorry, I arrived a few minutes late. Is this the full version of Twinmotion or AEC collection version?
This is the full version of Twinmotion. When you say full version, there's, I believe, only 2 versions. Or possibly 3, but essentially what is in the AEC collection is the full version of Twinmotion that you will have access to. So as long as you have access to the AEC collection, you will have the full commercial license for Twinmotion.
Good question, thank you. All right, number 2. Great, can you explain what may be missing in the AEC collection that you are showing here?
I don't believe anything will be missing from the AEC collection because of the fact that it is a full-on commercial license. So I believe you should have access to everything within Twinmotion. I haven't heard of anything otherwise.
Okay, and then Nick is asking, what computer specs do you recommend for Twinmotion to run smoothly?
Yes, so when it comes to that, well, my personal recommendation is definitely a gaming laptop, but you have specific specs that you can actually look up here in the Twinmotion website. So if you just Google computer specs for Twinmotion, yep, hardware and software specifications on the Epic Games website. Here is your minimum high-end requirements. So at the base level, this is what you need in order for it to run smoothly. Now, if you want to utilize more advanced technology like 4K, Ultra HD, 360 panoramic videos for, like, you know, your VR headsets and stuff like that, or even path tracer, right? These will be limited. Like, you won't even be able to do path tracer. What is path tracer? Essentially, it enhances, it does ray tracing to enhance your images, bringing it more to life in terms of your models. So that's where your realistic renders really come from. Twinmotion has updated in the recent updates and added lumen rendering, which does help bring it to life. It does do a similar light detection as well. But that does take up more higher memory bandwidth. So, you know, you're probably not best suited with the minimum requirements, as that will just limit you in terms of your export. If you go with the high-end requirements that are listed here, this should give you access to everything. So I can drop this link in the chat, and or I'll send it to yeah, I think I have access to the chat actually. Let me see.
That would be great. I was going to say, do you think we could try to do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
And then if you can't, maybe send it to me in Teams and I can send it back through.
Sure. Okay, yeah, it let me. So yeah, there you
Awesome.
go. So yeah, explore that website. They also give you the link to the Path Tracer specific requirements. So if you're building your own PC and you just want Path Tracer, you don't care about anything else, this is the way that you can build that into your PC. Oh,
Okay,
any
great.
other questions?
Yeah, and so Nick, if you can, I don't know if you can access the chat or anybody else that's listening, but the link is there. Okay, next question. Can you annotate scale of objects to appear as though they're growing into the scene as they appear in the timeline?
Yes, you can. So you would just have to use the aging mechanism in specific phases. So if you're like in phase 2, maybe you want to age this up a little bit, and then maybe phase 3, you'll age it up even further. So yeah, when you go out to render it, you would just age it in phases.
That's cool. So those are the questions so far. Okay, Rebecca's asking, is it possible to import a drone scan or 3D map?
Yes, it is. So if we go back to our imports here, you'll see this plus sign. And right here where it says point cloud, you are able to import a point cloud. And just keep in mind, it is a point cloud, so it's not going to be like a Revit model or anything. It's still going to give you that choppy look, but you are able to use that as a reference to, enhance further. You do have additional options that you can utilize to bring it more to life and look more solid, if that makes sense.
Okay. So Rebecca said, when I did this, it was the size of a postage stamp.
Yeah, so if that happens, then you would just have to utilize your XYZ playing field here that I was manipulating earlier. In addition to the position, you are able to scale it down a bit. So maybe 100% might be too much, or maybe you have the actual size of what it needs to be. You can go ahead and input that into here, and that should help with that.
I hope that helps, Rebecca. And then Niall, I think, is asking, this is in regards to the annotate. He was asking about making walls annotate upwards in the scene as they appear in the timeline.
Annotate upwards. Okay, that's a good point. So yeah, because right now it was horizontal. I see what you mean.
Oh, animate. I'm sorry. You know what, Niall? It's not you, it's me.
Oh, animate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not
Okay.
annotate.
Yeah.
Different software. Sorry.
No problem. Yeah. So with that, it's a little bit it's a little bit trickier because it does just come in the way that it comes in. So the way that you would utilize is that if you start off with phase 1, right? I would just put my elements underneath the ground. And then in phase 2, I will slowly start bringing it up. Instead of hiding and unhiding, I don't think that will best suit what you're trying to animate. Within each phase, you would just have to bring it upward using the gizmo tool and animate it that way, if that makes sense.
Okay. And Rebecca, so importing is only for surrounding landscaping. This is in regards to the comment about helping import drone scans for 3D maps. Yes. So
Yeah.
import is only for surrounding landscaping.
Yep.
Okay. Can you import meshes from drone data?
Yes, you can. So again, that's point cloud. You would have to import a point cloud file.
I'm just going through the questions, just hoping I didn't kill any more.
Cool. Keep on coming.
Yeah. Okay, so can you show how to enter a timeline again?
Yeah, so essentially you'll just hit this plus sign, and that will allow you to, first of all, just to navigate to there, you have to go to your phasing group. And as you want to add a new timeline, you'll just hit this plus sign. It'll tack it on the end here, so you can use the scroll button, and then you can see the new timelines. I'll break it up. So you're not, is another question that I always get is like, is it already a preset timeline? Can I edit it? Yes, you can. You can reduce the size of each phase as well, or you can increase it, whatever the case might be. So a lot of times people like to follow their construction schedule. So I would say just try to match it or as best to that. But yeah, whatever your need is, that's the way to do it.
Okay, and where is the timeline tool to open? Where is the timeline tool to open that up?
Yeah, so again, you would have to go to your media, and then you would select phasing group. So you have these options here. It's the last option there on the right.
Hope that helps. All right, Control C. I think William is asking about the link that you sent for, hang on, I'm just trying to do something here. William, I think you're asking about the link to see what you need in regards to your computer. And if you are, I just posted it into the chat for you. Okay, cool. Perfect. Okay. You're doing great, Ramsey. We're getting all these things done. All these questions answered. That's great.
Anything else, guys?
And while people are potentially typing in questions, or okay, can you animate vehicles as though they flow, as though they follow a path?
Yes, you can. So when it comes to that, you would actually have to draw your path and kind of go from there. So if I were to, let's say, for example, go to my populate tool here on the right-hand side, let me quit my media mode and minimize this so I have more real estate. There we go. Yeah, so populate, that's where we're at. Let me close this. Right here, you have this button called paths. So this will allow you to create your custom paths. You also can do vehicle paths, but that will just like create vehicles for you. If there's like specific one that you like, you can just drop it in there. So right out the gate, it'll just be a pretty much a box, but don't worry, we can replace that object. So from there, I can just go to my vehicles, my cars, and drag and drop it. And there we go. Then I have some animation options here. I can just make it flow through once. I can make it into a loop. So as this car gets to the city, it'll just come back and reanimate. I can do loop ping pong, which is pretty much the same, but it'll just kind of hop around. And then you'll have the speed that you can adjust. Maybe you wanted to, get through the path faster, and get a speeding ticket. Or you can do a delay, which will delay the respawn time. The respawning of the vehicle after it completes the path. So yeah, whatever you're trying to do, you can do. One thing I actually like about the custom paths, and I'll just kind of mention this as well, is the ability to just add more than just cars, right? So if we go back to the custom path here, and maybe not that one, let me go back to populate and let me populate a new one.
Can I just interrupt while you're doing that? Because this is another question that's coming up. Jose is asking, do you have several construction vehicles or cranes?
Yes, so yeah, I'll get to that right now,
okay.
Right after this. So yeah, right here, I'm just drawing this to go to the sky, and I can actually go into my vehicles and replace it with a plane. So not only can I do, whoops, that's really big, but yeah, you get the
Whoa.
idea. Not only can I do, not only can I do vehicles or cars, I can also do flying objects as well. So, yep, let me not make anybody nervous and get rid of that. Yeah. So yeah, back to your question about the construction vehicles. I have a lot of options here actually. So if I go to vehicles and I go to construction machine, I have a lot to choose from here. I can do a rotary drill. Maybe I'm trying to drill for some oil. Then I also have some cranes. And what I like about the cranes and these three here are that they have an animated option, which is really great. So if I drop it here, you'll see that it'll start to rotate. And then you can put your own logo in there as well.
Cool.
Yeah, to show the owner and everything like that. So aside from that, you do have some like other ones here, like this construction vehicle right here, where it's picking up the dirt, and the excavator as well, picking up the dirt. One thing that I like about the dirt is that I can select it singularly like this, and I can, instead of deleting it, I will, rubber. Let's go ahead and replace that object with something else. So I can come in here and find a dump truck, start the replacement, and now it's just going to animate it, putting the dirt back into the dump truck in that same exact location. So yeah, I have some choices when it comes to
That's
construction.
cool.
Yeah.
Jose, did that answer your question? Yes, that was very cool. Okay.
Cool. Anything else?
I guess just before I didn't, I know that we don't know when the next one is, do we? The next ACC webcast is? Just giving people a chance to, I'm going to go to our website and see if I can find a link.
Sure.
Bear with me, guys. You're doing all of them, aren't you now, Ramsey? This is your baby.
Yeah. And I encourage everyone to attend all of those. It'll be very informative.
Yeah, it looks like I don't have one now until probably the new year. Does that seem right to you?
January,
Maybe?
I believe. Yeah, I believe that's.
Yeah, they start up in January again. Okay. All right, a couple more questions. Can you show where you got your environments from again?
Yeah, for sure. So the HDRI environments are here in the library. So you just select HDRI environments. And my recommendation was to focus on skies and outdoors. These are your sky ones. You can do like a low sun, morning, afternoon type of deal. Select cloudy, clear, whatever the case might be. And then here are all your options here. One thing I do want to point out is if you can't download it, do not panic. It'll tell you right there that you just need to sign into your Epic Games account. So make sure that you're always signed in, so that way you can download the ones that are housed in the cloud. But yeah, hope that answers that question.
Okay, and then just before we wind this down, we're asking, how about you're starting the grass again?
Yeah, so the landscape is what you're asking. If we go to vegetation and we go to our landscape, these are our grassy lands. So we can either do the rocky landscape or the flat landscape there. Now, if you're talking about the grass that I replaced here to blend in with the rest right there, that is done in materials. So if you go to your materials and you go to your ground materials, you have man-made, which is like your asphalt and concrete. And then you also have your nature ones here as well. One more thing I do want to point out is that you do have additional grass options here in grass and flowers. This is more of your realistic looking grass that you can paint onto your landscapes and stuff like that.
So cool, eh? It really is. It's amazing. Okay, well, it looks like we've answered. Can you add animated people, dogs, birds?
Yeah, for sure. So in addition to that, you do have the ability to do character paths. So the character paths will automatically generate people for you. Okay. And then here we can change the width of the path, which will just add more people for you. And you can change their attire, maybe street, office, travel, beach, whatever the case might be. So, and then you also have some Middle Eastern options here too, if you're doing a project in the Middle East. And yeah, so you have some options there. You can change the density, add more people within the given path. And then I think the other question was about the birds and stuff like that. Those are more, I wouldn't create a path for those. I would just go to my characters here, and I would actually go to animals, and I'll just start to place them. So yeah, if I want to add some butterflies, I can. If I want to add the hawk, the eagle, I can. Yeah, C squad, a group of them, they'll start flying around just like that. And then if I have like a pond or anything like that, which is another thing I didn't show and I can show real quick, is if I sculpt my terrain downward right here, maybe increase the intensity a little bit. If I were to go to my ambiance setting here, I can actually turn on my ocean and adjust the height for my ocean just to encompass a certain field. Yeah, it's not perfect, but yeah, so like a little pond like that, if I wanted to just add some fishes too, I can, just like that. So yeah, you have a lot of options when it comes to that, basically.
Okay, so Rebecca's asking while you're doing all of this fun stuff, because I know if you had time, you would make this amazing. Rebecca says, my company builds chicken farms, so is there a way that we can animate chickens?
Let me see what options you have. So if chickens are not available here, it's not the end all be all. There's still some other options. So yeah, I don't see a chicken here, but I also have some integrations I can work with, like Sketchfab, which I really like. I can go to Sketchfab, go to animals and pets into there, and then I can just type in chicken and see what comes up. Yeah, so I have some chickens like roosters, chickens. Maybe this one will.
And are these still free, or are these?
Yeah, so these are all free to access within the Twinmotion library. And if you have access to the Sketchfab account, you can actually design your own animated characters to put into Twinmotion as well.
Okay, and then I was asking if there's something that's not in the library, I guess you just purchase it as an add-on, or is there like so many things? Look first.
Yeah, well, there's not really anything to purchase when it comes to Sketchfab. I believe you'll have access to the full library here. If you don't, you can go to the Sketchfab website, download it externally, convert it to a Datasmith file, and then import it into here as well. The Epic Games launcher, if you guys have access to that, they do have additional in-house characters that their development team have designed that are not necessarily in your library. You can also import those as well. Hope that answers this question.